What's up, folks? So, on my road to Adepticon, which I'm very excited about, where I'm going to play in the last chance qualifier and then hopefully make it beyond that to the second day and even further. At the same time, I'm fairly confident that I will not. So, I'm also signed up for the doubles event, and I found out the rules today for list building and have just been going hog wild doing list building for a doubles event after that. So, just to break it down real quick, for doubles, you play 18 squad point lists where each player, and you have two players on each team, each player has 9 points. Otherwise, I believe all the other list building effects are in place, so you can't have more than 8 ships, can't have less than 2 ships. I think you maybe can't have less than 3 ships. I'd have to double check that just in case. Because right off the bat, if you have 9 points per squad, you could do Defender, Vader, and Boba, and you're just like, you know what, let's do it. But I think you have to have a minimum of 3 ships still. So otherwise, the game is played normally. But there is another key caveat too, actually two that are especially exciting for list builders. Number one is that unique does not pass across both sides. So both players could have a Darth Vader, for example. Both players could have a Han Solo. Um, and then also things like standardized. So if you have independent calculations on one, it doesn't pass over to the other, or like the turret upgrade on your Rebel A-Wings. You could do those in just one half and not both. But then also all ships across both lists are considered friendly, which is phenomenal. So you can do some very weird stuff. So I've just got all 7 factions pulled up. I just wanted to talk really quick through kind of the thought process there, kind of what I was thinking. I've got some secrets in the back of my mind that I'm not going to share right now. But we'll talk a little bit about what you can do here. So get the obvious one out of the way. Actually, the two most obvious ones out of the way. You've got for Rebels, you could fit Han and your 2-pointer. So Han and Sabine, pretty straightforward. I expect we're going to see a lot of that. So every list I'm going to build is going to have to be aware that this is a thing. So there we go. Then for Empire, of course, the obvious choice again is the Rear Admiral Shiranu, the Decimator, and an Academy pilot or the other Black Squadron pilot, the I3 or the I1 2-cost tie. Both really strong choices. You're looking at an 18 squad point game where neither list can have a ship that is. There's a limited number of points combinations, so you're probably going to see low ship count lists. You're probably going to see 2, maybe 3 per each list, and it's unlikely to see 6 count lists. Actually, 6 count may be fairly common, just to think through that. I've never done one of these before, so I shouldn't state too much about like what's going to be there, what's not. But yeah, so probably lower overall ship count, probably. And then, yeah, just less stuff to really deal effectively with a Decimator or a Falcon. And that actually maybe stocks down on Han because you won't have as many targets to trigger your bonus shots, in which case a lot of the points you put into it are not going to do much. So, so both of these are things certainly to think about, just as things to do. Rebels and Empire both have really, really good 3-pointers. So you can do 3-3-pointers and have a pretty cool salad running around. So, or you can throw invaders and go to town. So. Next up, we've got Scum. Of course, I mentioned Boba is always a 9-point spot you can just throw in there. But this, I talked to the Scum chat in Discord, and this is the top list that came up, was Fen Rao and the Fang, and then a 3-pointer, usually recommending Lima Kai for the high initiative, a pretty effective 3-pointer. So there's a lot you can do with that. The other option thrown out there was Manaru and then Dace Bonearm, so your 5 and your 4. So just to kind of recap here what we've done with points cost, you could do a single 9-point as long as your other squad has at least 2. You can do a 4 and a 5, or a 4 and a 3 and a 2, or a 5 and 2 2s. Yes. In some cases, you can do more than that, which we'll get to in a minute here. So that's kind of your points breakdown and what you could do. There's a lot here. I love list building. I've only barely started jumping into it, but I'll definitely be talking a bit more about this probably closer to time, and certainly after the event. I'd love to kind of talk up what happened at the event. There's the Scum. For me, I think I'd probably lean towards the 3-3-pointers in Scum because you have some pretty great ones. Or you could do, and I think that's better because you can also do 4, 3, and 2, but I think you lose too much in between to be worth taking the single 4-pointer. I think that mixing the 3s is better. So I'll look into that a bit. I think I have one that's Lima, Arlees, the 2 Y-Wings, and then Lapin, the tie that can't be modded against if the attacker or defender that he's working with is stressed. But let's go ahead and keep jumping. So resistance, They can do a lot with more than 9 points, but bringing it down to 9 does make it interesting for resistance because they don't have a ton of stuff that's really cheap. I really like this because the Commander Poe has the options to coordinate, and you could do that to your allied squad as well. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. There you are, right there. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, after a friendly ship at range 0 to 2 performs an action during its activation, you may spend 2. If you do, that ship may perform a white action, treating it as red. Extremely powerful if you cross faction. There are a lot of ships that would appreciate that don't really have another option for an extra coordinator. So a lot of scum ships, like your rogues, really benefit from extra coordinate, and having ways that the other factions do to pass them over is phenomenal. Also, any of the rebel stuff lets you pass over focus tokens is really strong in the other factions that don't have those options. So you look at that too. But I also really like Merle because he's a 3-point A-wing, and he's got that ability where while a friendly ship at range 0 to 2 performs a primary attack, if you are in the defender's bullseye, the defender rolls 1 fewer defense die. And he's an initiative 1 A-wing, slap heroic on there, and he's a terrific blocker who then is buffing up the attack of all of your lists. So I really like that. Another place I'm really looking is the tech slot, because you've got the targeting synchronizer and a really broad range of ships that can carry munitions in different ways and then tech in different ways that can now cross factions. So munitions, what is it, targeting synchronizer? Yeah, targeting synchronizer. So while a friendly ship at range 1 to 2 performs an attack against a target you have locked, that ship ignores the target lock requirement. That's one of the upgrades I'm looking at the most. So go ahead and throw it out there. Defender Vader can take a bunch of stuff and still throw a targeting synchronizer on there. He doesn't really need to spend his locks. So if you have them on there, you can then give a potential attack mod to every other ship in your list. And if you run like a little bit of a spam around Defender Vader, you can do some pretty crazy stuff. So definitely looking at that one. Yeah, let's keep on going through. FO, I was really sad that you cannot do the Silencer Kylo because he's 8 points. So you can't even squeeze, and he's 7 points, but FO doesn't have a 2-pointer at all. So you're not going to see a Silencer Kylo on the board at all, unless they take the points deficit just to do it. So you may see it, but that is one thing definitely to keep in mind about what can or can't happen in here. If the squad doesn't have, or if the faction doesn't have a two-point ship, there is a limit to what they can actually do. So I ended up doing just an FO salad. TIE FOs are really good, and being able to just like pair them with another half of a very strong list from another faction is awesome, especially if you throw in some coordinate, some fire support, some extra rerolls that you can kind of pass over. It's good. So this is fairly standard. I don't know which factions my partner and I are going to play yet, so I'm really just spitballing and running through. But this is an example of one of those 3x3-point lists that has some legs. Very good on objective control. These second two both can throw an extra attack die by either taking a strain or a stress. And then I just like Midnight being that initiative 6 that then also can protect against being modded against. While you defend or perform an attack, if you have a lock on the enemy ship, that ship's dice cannot be modified. So if you can coordinate this guy with a lock, or if you can just take those locks and coordinate other things, that's a super powerful ability, and I really like that. So, and you've got to throw in your Proud Edition and Fanatical, so you'd get some mods and actions as well. So that is good. Then jumping over to Republic, just to talk through all 7 factions real quick. I did really enjoy this. Republic has 2 2-pointers, so you can do a 5 and 2 2-pointers, which is a nice kind of breakdown you can do. The 5-point slot in Republic is a little bit weird unless you just want to throw in an arc, which I guess those are both 4 points. But yeah, so I enjoyed this. So you've got that Actus Anakin just to throw in an ace. And then this is one I really, really am looking at closely. That Wilhuff Tarkin. His ability is not all that good in Republic, but it's very good if you cross to other factions that rely on target locks. So he can't take a tech, but he can take an R3 astromech, and then has the ability, during the system phase, you may choose an object that you have locked at range 1 to 3. Another friendly ship at range 1 to 3 may acquire a lock on that object. So you can just pass target locks around your list, even cross-faction, which is it's good, super good. So really like that, definitely looking at him. He's a 3-pointer you can throw in there. He's less vulnerable because of the smaller squads, the lower squad points. So he's a stronger piece, especially with that cross-faction ability. So that's I like a lot. So we're looking at that. Then lastly, we've got Separatists, and Separatists really do make things interesting because they and Empire are the only 2 factions that can actually run 4 ships at 9 points. Because Republic has the 2-point, well, you need 3 2-pointers to do this, yeah. So it's just Empire and Separatists, because you have the vultures that are either pipped with 3 or more, or they've got some non-pipped 2-pointers as well. And then Empire has the unnamed TIE fighters. So you can, if you run Separatist and or Empire in any combination, you can run an 8-ship list in this doubles tournament, which is going to be high. You will nearly always have more ships than your opponent, probably by quite a few. So, and I talked about that, wanting those target locks. So those targeting synchronizers make these vultures with concussion missiles way more dangerous if you have any way to do it. The other thing I mentioned at the top, though, is that limited doesn't pass across the squads, but they're all friendly. One of the best ways to, I tempted to say cheese it, but its benefit from that is you can have 2 different relays. So you can have both Galani and you can have K2B4, yeah. So you can have the offensive benefit of Kalani giving out free target locks, and then you can also have the defensive benefit of K2B4 giving your calculating ships those free evades. So I'm really seriously considering an actual droid swarm just because you can do a lot with it. You've got your Discord missiles, you got your concussion missiles, you can pass a lot across factions. This is a really fun thing to play with, either with this paired with a different faction or just doubling up on separatists. It'd be nice to see separatists on the table. Don't know if we're touching that, but it's definitely something I thought about early and was like, ooh, okay, all right. Um, some other things to break down just to talk about it. So you got your 7 and 2 points combo, right? So you can do a defender plus a 2-pointer. You can do one of the non-boba fire sprays and a 2-pointer. You can do a lot with that. And this game type is going to be a little bit more friendly because you have the points limitation. It's going to be a little bit more friendly to some of those really AC ships. So I am also giving a very serious look to Sun Fac just for fun. And it may be the only case where I actually run Fen Rao because I don't trust Fangs to live. And I don't really trust him in this mode either. But if he's paired up with a scary enough partner, just maybe it could work. But yeah, so that's it. That's the doubles tournament. I'm very excited about it. Hopefully this kind of helped get the wheels turning. I'm going to have a lot more to say about that down the road, either before or after the event. We'll see. So that was it. Have a great night.